We are live at Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. This is the show where we talk about what, Logan?
Dirt bikes and dirt bike related products.
Yes, we do. We answer your questions. We talk about the questions that people asked on the videos, on the previous videos, where you can watch those if you're watching this live on Facebook. Of course, a lot of people do that. We run a chat room on Facebook. Questions get answered right away there. Sometimes you find this show about a week later, maybe a week and a day later, or maybe even more than that, because I used to have this guy that came in and knocked it out the next day, and Logan, and but something happened last week.
Yeah.
What was that?
The card was full, I think.
The card was full.
Yeah.
So the kid that shows me how to translate things with his phone, he answers questions just by Googling it and stuff. Couldn't Google how to go grab the footage, how to steal it back from Facebook and stick it on the end of the video. I've been doing that all week, and then something's wrong, and it's been uploading this 21-minute version of the show, not the whole hour and 50 minutes. So I managed to get the podcast uploaded. That didn't have the corrupt file, whatever was wrong with it. So I tried about 6 times today and failed miserably. So no show from last week yet, but it's coming. So you can listen to it on SoundCloud, on iPod, iTunes. Yeah, the iTunes things. Yeah, you can. You can't hear it on Instagram though. We don't put it up on Instagram. And a couple of guys were upset that it's not live on YouTube, which we could do, but it's bandwidth, because then where do you pay attention, or how do you get the questions? You would have to have like 3 or 4 different things open, and then we don't have our wire going out of here isn't big enough to do it in 2 different places. But we could pay to have a service that'll do it, but that would cost extra money, and that's in short supply these days, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this show is brought to you by
Honda. Yeah.
Honda. Well, how did that happen, huh, Logan?
I don't know.
Well, here's what's going to happen. Well, all the you know how it works. It's like, since we're completely bought off and paid, we're only going to talk about Hondas anymore. That's the only bikes we're going to talk about. We can't talk about the other H brand. No, just only Hondas, just red bikes, and only red Hondas, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go along with that?
Red Hondas?
Okay, do the commercial. First shot. Here we go.
Honda's new 2021 CRF 450R is designed to take you from the starting gate to victory circle. This awesome open-class motocrosser features all-new chassis, a major engine overhaul, new suspension, and new bodywork. And you can forget about clutch fade, adjustment, or hand fatigue with the new hydraulic clutch system. Lighter than ever, the CRF 450R explodes out of corners when it's time to increase the lead. So get on down to your local dealer, check out the 2021 Honda CRF 450R. Go to mx.honda.com to see our full line up of competition bikes. The CRF 450R is intended for close course operation only.
Pretty good. You saw that about, what, 10 seconds ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. We're gonna have to work on it a little bit, just clean it up, because I'm pretty sure, Honda, they might watch and then they'll want some cleaner copy. That's why I wear a red shirt. But my shirt says Scott on it. A wrong shirt, right? I'll work on that. Maybe during the show. Let's see. We'll take questions from the room first. Tell a friend with dumb motorcycle questions to ask it here so you don't have to answer. I wrote that. So Sean McNeary says, do you guys do anything special for desert temps on oversized tanks? I'm considered foil tape to insulate the fuel line on my 2020 FE501. So, Sean, no, I actually don't do anything. So I have a fleet of KTM 500s that have larger tanks, and I don't have a lick of foam on any of the tanks, stock or larger. I don't have any insulating shields on any of my fuel lines, and I have not had any gas boiling issues in those bikes. That said, there's been a couple bikes like that other one that I talked about that does have heat shielding on it, and because of the fuel that we were getting when we had the winter fuel during the summer, we had some boiling issues with it. But I wouldn't mess around with it. I wouldn't worry about it. I think where you would have really tough time is when you're riding in really, really technical riding, when it's really high temperatures and you're not moving, and then all the heat from the radiators and the engine kind of works its way up into the tank. But I wouldn't think that the fuel line would be anything I would want to foil tape it on. Some of the KTM Adventure bikes also had some heat in the gas issues as well, but it's not really been a little bit of a problem. And George says, what's the valve you said I might like in my 500 forks? Did I say valve? Valving. I said stock. I don't know. I don't remember. When I said it? And Ricky Brabeck, imagine that. He wants to know who the guest is. Honda. Ricky, you could have just been in here just gushing Hondas, and that's all we're going to talk about. And Logan is the guest today. So Jared Smith says it sounds great. So thanks to Alex for I think it was Alex. That's how bad I am with names. I'm 99% sure it was Alex that came in. He was taking my class this weekend. He was a sound engineer and tuned us up. He literally, just like I do with motorcycles, he walked up, looked at my setup, said, "Oh yeah, that knob's out of place." That was it. The gain on one of the speakers was way off. And they all look the same. They're just round knobs, right? They're like clickers on your suspension. You can put them anywhere and they look exactly the same. But something inside is happening different. Took him 10 seconds to pin down what the problem was. So now we have a little bit more volume on the output, which is good. Logan and I have matched speakers, even though he doesn't talk very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all good. So thank you. And Ricky said we were on time, so I just proved that it was the 7 minutes late was from him last time. So, Rick Groom says, "What's up? What's up? That's up." Rusty Nail gave us a thumbs up, and now he's bummed out because it's Hondas. I think I'm not sure. Let's see. I know I got a trophy from Rusty Nail. Is that better than the thumbs up that flies up? Where does the trophy rank in the emojis? Pretty high?
I don't know. I don't even know where it is.
Oh, you don't know where the trophy emoji is?
No.
So you can't throw trophies at me in the emoji thing? The H brand, Hodaka? Is that what it is? No. Let's see. Jim Keel wants a Harley Pan Am review. That's another H brand. I'm just not going to touch it. So Harley, no Harley, Jim. Let's see. Why can't I post pictures? Kelly Anson asks. You mean on the... hey, here's a picture. Kelly, speaking of Trail Tech, all we're going to talk about in this show is sponsors. So I'm going to put the Trail Tech Voyager Pro up here. Because we're bought. So we're going to talk about things. I actually have a thing that says news, right, Logan, on my notes?
News.
Yeah, let me have that because I have to remind myself what I was going to talk about. I know what else we're going to do. We're going to give away that shirt because it's a Honda shirt. This shirt is technically a collector's item because it's you can hold it up and it's an extra large shirt. So here's how we're going to give it away. Like the fifth person that buys a dirt bike test shirt and they're an extra large, I'm going to stuff that Troy Lee Designs back when they had the Honda factory team or the 250F team. I'm going to put that shirt into the package. So buy dirtbiketest.com t-shirt. You can go onto the website and there's a thing that says store and you can click down and get a cool t-shirt that way. Because I'm going to sell more t-shirts than Ricky Brabeck tomorrow. then we'll turn it into a T-shirt selling contest. But somebody will get the Honda T-shirt. News. Yeah, it's all going to be fake news. Somebody said that sometimes the Husaberg bell doesn't ring when you mention the 570, and it's disappointing. So who is in charge of that? Yeah, you guys gotta be more on the ball. I mean, I have one over here, but half the time it just slips out of my mind. But the news segment, the real news, and the reason I pulled up Kelly, the reason I pulled up the Voyager Pro is Trail Tech released new software that we kind of hinted at 2 weeks ago on the show, and so you just take your little card and you download it off the computer, and you put your little card in there, and you update the software. I was actually going to turn this thing on and have it running during the show, but I don't have the new maps in here yet because that's not a feature that I have my maps in my head. But if you wanted to have maps in this one, they have the new software update. It's out, it's live, it's good, and yeah, that's news. I have Ricky Brabeck T-shirt news. You know what that T-shirt news is?
No.
When you buy the shirt that says the Americans are coming, the logo is on the back. And some people wanted to have that logo on the front, and they I guess probably one person was probably upset, but the logo is on the back, so that's just news, just in case. And Ricky is sorry. He apologizes for that. I watched him on his mountain bike ride on his Insta feed, and he was apologizing for putting the logo on the back. Would you want the logo on the front or the back?
Probably on the front.
On the front? I wore the wrong shirt, so I'm gonna switch. I gotta switch this. Why would you want it on the front?
It's I don't know. I feel like you don't talk to the people behind you.
Oh, that's a better Honda shirt. You don't talk to people behind you?
Yeah.
But then they know what you're about. So you should go. There's another job for you, Logan. You should go do a little consulting for Ricky. You can consult on his T-shirt designs and logo placement. That maybe you can get into that. Because the international business department that you were supposed to be heading up here, remember with those ladies that were emailing us?
Megan and whatever.
Yeah, they wanted to do some co-ops and stuff. How'd that go?
You didn't make me an email yet.
I didn't make you the email?
Yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to forward it to you.
Yeah.
You got to read it right off the sheet, didn't you? That was all the information you needed.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. And on other news, Jimmy will go ride gas bikes on Friday. So if you want to know about new gases, you can probably check in with us early next week, and we'll know what those what the more red KTMs work like, and maybe have a little more information on exactly what's different and what isn't, and so forth and so on. You know, they have the mini bikes out there too. They said they were going to bring kids to ride them. If you were healthy, I could have brought you.
Yeah.
They have a 125 too. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I'm going to read this question. Mike Zabrik. Mike Zabrik asks, the best part of Tuesday is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Would love to hear Logan's story of how he hurt his knee and what he learned from it, if anything. Sorry if this was spoke about already. Keep turning that DDC sprocket, guys. The show will gain traction. Okay, so what's the answer for Mike?
I crashed on my sister's bike.
Where at?
Sandy Valley motocross track.
Yeah, go into some detail. Like, what were you doing?
The track was super muddy, and my sister is quite a beginner. Mm-hmm. So I was going to build a line, and then I crashed on the mud.
So you were sweeping the mud off the track.
Yeah.
And you intended to use your tires.
Yeah.
But you used your knee?
Yeah, I have my foot, then my knee.
So what happened? You were like going straight.
Straight, and then I wasn't. Went into a turn.
Because that place is slick. It has some pretty slick dirt. Yeah, clay. And then you stuck your leg out.
No. I was on this side of the track and it was a right-hand turn, so I was going to go on the outside. So I was cutting in, and the rear tire started going in front of the front.
Rear tire went in front of the front, and then you put your foot down.
Yeah.
Did it go pop?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how he hurt his knee.
Yep.
What'd you learn?
Don't wear knee braces and don't go putting personal records on the pit bike track while it's muddy.
Personal records.
Yeah.
Were you doing lap times?
Not really, but
You're throwing down a heater.
kind of.
Kind of. Well, it's nice of you to sweep the mud off the track.
Yeah.
Did you have your big bike there?
Yeah.
And you could have been riding your big bike.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. So don't throw heaters down on the pit bike track. I don't. So do you think a knee brace would have helped?
Yes.
So it's not. It wasn't a. Was it? It was more of a bending. Your knee flexed in a way that it couldn't, or did it twist?
It twist. But it wasn't like a super hard twist.
Yeah.
It was more of over a duration.
It
So
like
I feel like
it kind of stuck, and then you kept
stuck in it.
Like the bike fell on its side with it,
No.
spun around backwards.
right. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough talking about that. Yeah. Because it was funny because this week I was actually trying to order up some knee braces online all over the place. Not knee braces, knee cups. I use a couple different EVS ones that you can't get. Everything is like, it's amazing how much stuff is sold out, and it was the first step of when I haven't needed any motorcycle parts or gear or anything for a long time. Just been riding on what I had, and it was like, my knee braces or knee cups are getting a little bit worn out. So I have knee braces. I only wear them really at the track. That's about the only time I wear knee braces. Other time I'm wearing knee cups all the time. So yeah, that's a good. And I've kind of seen the good and the bad with the knee braces and stuff. And I used to, when I hurt my knees, that's when I started wearing them. And I was maybe a little bit older than you, probably about 17, 18. I mean, maybe 17 when I started wearing the knee braces. And, but I kind of destroyed my knee, but it made it last till I was 27 or something like that. I got 10 years out of running knee braces with a kind of a bum knee, but you strengthen up the muscles and everything comes back. And I did the same thing. MCL was what I tore, and then it finally tore my ACL later to finish it all off. So, hey, Mike, hopefully that answers your question with Logan. Doug Derby put a picture of a transmission up on our page where we asked for questions today, and he said, "What is this transmission from, Jimmy?" And then he gave me a hint, which is like, give it away. Greatest bike and dual sport ever made. So what do you think the answer was?
KTM 500. Oh, Hoosberg 570.
Now he's saying it. I'm not.
I was going to say, I think that counted.
Well, here's the funny thing. I mean, I think the transmission. I mean, when you look at a transmission, they look the same out of almost any bike. And I looked at it, and you know how I knew it wasn't out of a Hoosberg 570?
It wasn't at a tilted.
Well, all you saw was just the piles, the cluster of gears just laying on. The reason I knew was because it wasn't bent from all that power. Actually, it was out of a Hoosberg 650 is what I think it was out of. It was the older one. And that bike had a lot of power. Like, that bike has really a lot of power. Not very durable, evidenced by he started dropping a few photos later of his bike that the rod had come out of the bottom of the motor or something like that. And I think the transmission was grenaded too, because I'm like, why would you even take one of these things apart? Just you don't ever want to work on one of those things. The older ones are actually not too hard to work on, but they're hard to get parts for. So Jason Nader has a question. Why don't you go ahead and hit this one, Logan? I'm going to switch my shirt again.
He says, "Hi, Jimmy. There's a few companies making rally towers for KTM 500. What's your opinion on running one for dual sport use? BDR, type riding, fire roads, 2-track, and easy single track. Not too technical. What are the pros and cons of rally screen? Thanks, and keep up the great work, Jason."
Rally towers on 500s and for mostly dual sport use. I think it's a trade-off. It's a little bit kind of either or. It's good a little bit for wind protection. It's a good place to kind of be able to put your GPS. You can store a couple things up underneath it. They look cool. Well, depending on the one you get. Some of the ones look really homemade, and other ones look really, really good. The moto-minded ones kind of come to mind as being ones that kind of fit on there and look pretty good. But if the problem is when you put something up in front of you like that, it makes it hard to kind of see right down in front of you. And I think we talked about it a little bit on last week's show. And I think Andrew was saying, if I didn't have to have all this stuff on my bike, I wouldn't have it on my bike. And I'm the same way. My rally training bike has a ram ball that I clamp on my iPad, and I mount a set of buttons on, and within 5 minutes, I can turn it from a rally bike into a bike I can go do single track trail on. Well, it has the big gas tank. I don't switch much else. So I'm kind of, I think if you're doing it more for the looks, it's good. If you feel like the wind protection will help a little bit, like, if you're doing higher speeds where the wind's blowing at you, it can help a little bit, but they kind of get in the way, and it's one more thing to break if you fall. They're not cheap. So that's my personal opinion. I don't have one. So I guess I might not be the right guy to ask if you're doing that. What do you think, Logan?
Haven't really ridden with one. I've ridden the ram mount and the button one, but
what about you rode CRF 250 L?
Yeah.
Which essentially has a full fairing. That's the same kind of thing. Did you notice anything when you were riding that?
I liked it on the road, and it didn't bother me on the 2-track.
Yeah. So there it is. If you're doing 2-track and roads, Logan says yes. Single track and rally towers should not be used in the same sentence, says Craig Alberts. And then what does Rusty Nail say? What's on the slate for Honda? Will you be testing some models? If so, which ones? We have a CRF 450L. I think we still have it. Berm Cannon Mark has it. We're trying to get the Africa Twin DCT because we want to compare it. We spent a lot of time. You'll see a picture of it floating around on the screen behind us. We spent not a lot of time, a fair amount of time on the standard transmission Africa Twin. So we want to get the DCT because that's really a big question a lot of buyers want to have about that. I'm waiting to get my hands on a CRF 450 RX because it's the same as the new motocross bike, and I have a feeling that all the changes they did the motocross bike will bode really well to the RX. But that little blurble everybody's talking about with the 450R, it hasn't gone away. And I think they're selling every one that they can bring to dealers, from what I understand. So there's no reason to go and try to get a whole lot of extra press on it when they know exactly what we're going to complain about for the time being. But so we'll see where that goes. We still have our 450R, and I think Scott Hoffman has it, and he's doing some stuff with it. I think putting stiffer suspension. So that's where we're at with the Honda stuff. What should we test, Logan?
I definitely like the 250 Rally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about the CRF 110?
Sure.
Yeah, you can hurt your other knee, right?
Yep.
At the flat track, because we'll make that thing slippery. Yeah, that's it. What's the next question?
What's your opinion? Oh, no. John Johnson. Thanks for answering my question about active suspension.
Oh, this guy has a really, really long question, but I don't know if we're going to read it. Well, I might let you read it. You're getting better at the reading. But yeah, ask the first question.
Do you think the day is far off when this technology is utilized on dirt bikes? Utilized. As you are aware, it is already used on ADV bikes pretty expensively. I see a day when we are using suspension mapping like EF ignition mapping is being used currently.
I'm making fun of my shirt, which I just put on the camera. The shirt says, "Where I come from, we roost punks who talk shit." Just in case you were wondering, that's my next red shirt that I brought on. Yeah, so John had asked about the act. He was the one that asked the active suspension question to Ricky last week. And this is a Fuck You Racing shirt, by the way. Thank you, Jerry, for hooking me up with this one. So there are ADV bikes that have active suspension, and it's not really active suspension though. It's just electronically adjusted suspension, and really it's so archaic. It basically adjusts the rebound dampening on most of them. It's just a little servo that adjusts the rebound clicker and another little servo that might do the spring preload. And the spring preload, it's not like you can do infinite adjustment. You can pretty much make it for like 2 people or luggage or 1 person, and so it's a big wide range. And I tell you, almost any time I'm on an adventure bike, I have it in 2-person full luggage just because I want that extra preload. So it's nothing like the stuff that they were working on the rally bike. So, but I think the day is far off when we're going to start seeing this stuff on the dirt bikes because it's cost. It's just it's expensive at this time, but for the adventure bikes, it's showroom bling. It's gimmick. It's in reality, think about how much do you really change your suspension once you get it the way you like it. So that's the question there. We want to hit this next question. This could open up a can of worms. This one.
I think it's by a different person, actually.
No, it's the same guy. It's John Johnson. I moved his question there in the thing there. So go ahead and start reading it. I'll start doing comments. Probably change my shirt again. You never know. Maybe
Jimmy,
get a beer.
Like yourself, I'm a man of certain age.
Oh, well, what does that mean?
It means you're in your mid-20s.
Okay.
I have seen.
He's a womanizer, isn't he?
And I've seen many changes in OHV use. We are about to see a big change in power sports industry. California Governor Newsom has signed into law Executive Order in 7920, Section 2, Subsection C.
Okay, so right away, this guy's doing his research. John's got some of the facts here. Where's Chris Reel? Chris Reel might need to be present for this discussion. Okay, keep going, Logan.
References a ban of sale of all new gas-powered off-road vehicles by 2035. This is a bit of political virtue signaling, but it is still a law until it is reconciled or amended.
So a question here. He just did an executive order, but that doesn't make it law, correct? The legislature, it has to be approved by the legislature. So he's recommended. Well, in California, it's going to slide right through if he has anything to do with it. So he's proposed this, correct? Yeah. But they haven't voted on it or done anything with it because it's still got to go.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
They do the same thing with cars.
Right. This is part of that bill. This is part of it, but he'll get into it a little bit more. Keep reading.
as you know from being a past resident of California, the cultural and political climate sticker in California might be modifications to the mandate difficult, not to mention the current red sticker revision banning two-strokes.
So, like California had this red and green sticker thing, and green sticker was essentially emissions compliancy. It meant a off-road motorcycle had a certain, it met an emissions requirement, and it also, it's kind of funny because, I mean, I even get confused in this still that there's, that it's sound, it has some sound components to it, and it has some emissions components to it in California because it's mandated by CARB is the one that does it. So that's why you hear about these California green sticker bikes. And since they sell so many bikes in California, that's why it was so important in the grand scheme of things. And they keep changing. They keep making the emissions compliancy more. So it was tailpipe emissions, and it was fleet averaged, and then it was, I'm pretty sure, and then it was, now they started getting into evaporative emissions. So like the vent hoses on the gas tanks and the bikes can't spill out the side, out of the carburetor. If they have a carburetor, they need to be fuel injected and things like that. For the same reason that the Yamaha WRs they come very corked up, but they're not even green sticker bikes because they don't have the proper charcoal containers and stuff on the gas tanks. So they had the bikes all ready to go, and the interpretation of the law, they didn't feel like they met it, so they stopped doing it. But this is it's interesting because what he's going to get at, let me kind of grab this and I'll kind of paraphrase a little bit what he starts talking about. He basically is saying that the culture and political climate in California will make modifications to this mandate difficult. So they'll put this stuff in law, and then the manufacturers kind of have to abide by it. Let's see. A handful of other states have similar legislation on the books with varying timetables and requirement. In addition, there are many European countries with legislation that is parallel in California. And this, I think he's talking about the electric only vehicles. And the funny thing is that he'll get into this a little bit later, but he talks about the fact that they specifically state that off-road vehicles will have to be electric powered. That's where he kind of gets in it. It's like there's a specific wording in it that says electric vehicles, and let's see, can't find the thing, but he goes into talking about how Honda and other manufacturers have shown electric dirt bikes, and he's kind of, I think what he's kind of afraid of is that everybody's kind of get on board and say, okay, we're 2035, that's plenty far out, but like what happens if where are you going to charge your bike in the great outdoors, which doesn't have power cords everywhere, to be able to go ride your vehicle, your new electric vehicle that you buy? Well, the way things are going with dual sports, to make a bike that's that compact, that puts out that little emissions, that doesn't make any noise, you're heading towards green. You're heading towards electric vehicles to a certain extent. I know he's talked to some of the people that are involved in the advocacy for this, and he's worried that everybody's kind of like going, oh, the other group will handle it. The AMA, maybe they don't want to touch it because they think it's far enough out, and then maybe the Motorcycle Industry Council, and there's a lot of different groups that could maybe touch this, but I think it's still maybe a little bit far away from becoming a law. But if you don't pay attention to this stuff, it sneaks up on you, and all of a sudden, like, less sound equals more ground, and oh yeah, closure. Yes, Bob.
I keep wondering if California by 2035 will have the electrical infrastructure in place to support this. I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of times these are just pie in the sky things. It's a soundbite for the news media, and they're saying something, and maybe a lot of times you'll hear about this stuff, and the people that are involved in the land use community will hear about it in some other way. They'll hear about it getting proposed or pitched or something like that. like I said, the fact that they specifically named off-road vehicles, I'm pretty sure it's just one more way that they're stabbing at what we're doing. It's like, hey, this is another way we can get rid of them. Because when they said it was sound, before they said it was sound, and we did a pretty good job most people did a pretty good job of, the manufacturer sure did a very good job of taking care of that sound problem. But when it was two strokes, it was like, it was an easy target. It was like, oh, we're going to use old emission standards and show how polluting two strokes are. Where now they're actually very clean. So it's I think it's one of those things. It's just the next thing. We've done pretty good job at meeting all of the requirements, and that's where we're going to be. Kind of doing this. He wants dirt bike. What he'd like is, he said, it would be great if a feature article in the new DBT digital magazine could look into the future of the dirt bike in the coming decades. I think it is important that the riding public has an idea of what is to come and not bury its head in the sand like it has in the past. Some might say I'm being an alarmist, but I can remember when the legislature in California and the environmental lobby closed off a considerable amount of OHV areas in the mid-70s and 80s. He says, rest in peace, Barcelona to Vegas. So this is what I was just talking about. Then they regulated the two-stroke into obscurity in the 80s or the 90s and the thousands. It looks like the extinction of the internal combustion engine will be their legacy for the 20s and 30s. I do not underestimate the California politics, and I do not underestimate that the California politics has the ability to affect policies and the direction of the power sports industry worldwide. This is evident in the four-stroke revolution that has taken place in the recent past. I'm going to stop now and give you my feelings on that. Like I said, we've been presented a lot of challenges, and the industry did a very good job of reacting, adapting. I mean, if it was 1997 and you told me that four strokes are going to be the only thing you'd see at the motocross tracks when racing was four strokes, you'd go, no way. Especially, they had to modify the rules. It had to come from all directions. They had to change the rules for the displacement and stuff, things like that. But we have come a long way. If you dropped a KTM 500 or a CR 450L, now that we're Honda, right? Got to say that? No. Yeah. If you dropped one of those things out of the sky in the mid 90s and said, hey, this is, you would not believe that the performance that we're getting out of these things, as quiet as they are and as efficient and how well suspended and all the things, you wouldn't believe it. So I think we have done a good job in that. It would be great to get some insight about the future plans from the power sport industry, the manufacturers, the dealers, the competitive sanction bodies, federal, state, and government, etc. I would imagine at least Honda would be excited to discuss their direction for the future. They have already rolled out their goals publicly. And in this letter he sent me, he dug around and found some press statements that they made. I think it was a few years ago when they introduced that electric motocross bike, on what their plans were. And they were the first ones to literally give up the two-stroke. I mean, they just gave it up and they stuck with it. They're a four-stroke company, and it's because they're a car company and they're green, and they kind of go down that thing. I don't think anybody in the United States would know exactly what the direction for that electric vehicle is. Actually, I was trying to get some information on that bike not too long ago, and the people that knew about it didn't know anything more than what we knew, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So, you're going to be riding electric bikes, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are pretty good. Like for kids, and you can laugh about it now, but when I grew up, there was no such thing as a KTM mini bike. KTM did not make mini bikes. They made a 125 and up, mostly big bore bikes. And now you can hardly find a kid that hasn't come up riding on, KTMs and stuff like that. And you think about, like, there's my generation, my age, we all started on, Honda little CRF, or not, they're CR50s now, but they were Monkey 50s, CT70s, Trail 110s, XR75s, MR50s, you know, and then there was that whole generation that started on PW50, the whole Yamaha, you know, group that got started on PW50, a little bit younger than myself. But a lot of kids now are starting on OSETs. They're starting on these Strider bikes. And so they may jump into the gas game for a little while, but it isn't going to take long for they might be able to just evolve the whole way. KTM's got a crazy fast electric 50, you know, that's a race bike, and they just started racing them at Loretta Lynn's. You know, it's almost a spec class now because there's not a lot of competition for it, that particular bike, but that's the way it was when they raced PW 50s. And so I think it'll just evolve. We'll adapt and we'll evolve. Is it going to be good? Right here, you can sit here and go, no way, it can't be as good as gas. But I rode an Alta. We did the tests on dirt bike tests. It shows how many miles. We did a pretty darn good, I would say, almost a full trail ride, like 3/4 of a full trail ride that we would have done on our gas bikes on the electric bike, and it finished and it still had power. And we weren't being conservative with it. We rode it just like we would have we rode the gas bikes. And of course, I would have needed a 220 plug at my house that I didn't have to charge it up quickly, but I could have charged it up slowly on the 110 overnight. But it was the most, and it was enough to do that, but to really cover distances and stuff, you would be hard pressed right now. But batteries are going to get better. Things are going to get better. So yeah, John, thanks for he's actually not live because he's one of the other guys that tells me he doesn't do Facebook. He probably watched the Social Dilemma. Did you watch that yet, Logan?
No.
That's what, you don't have Facebook, do you? Yeah, you do. You have to if you're on it. Yeah. If you watch it, you just turn it off. You get scared. Anybody else watch that and they're not on Facebook anymore? No, nobody that's watching right now would. I was talking to somebody that hadn't seen it yet, and I'm pretty sure they'll be off Facebook after they watch it. That's the general reaction.
It's not a funny story.
Huh?
It's not funny.
Oh no, it's well. You know what's funny is that most of the people like when they give you these technologies, they feel like they're doing good. They're doing good, but if you get something that's good, like this free technologies they give you, you know, Google, whatever it is, it's not free. Yeah. And it's nothing. Nothing is free. What were we talking about? Like we're saying you're going to pay for it someplace or another. You're going to pay for it sometime. So yes. We have any other questions in the room, Logan? I'll change my shirt. This one was on backwards, by the way. This logo or that logo was on the back of the shirt. So there's to Ricky. And what was the question again? Don't quit watching me change.
George said, was it Newsom that proposed the 3-stroke engine, eliminating the exhaust stroke to eliminate the emissions?
No, I'm the one that did that. I invented the 3-stroke. Me and that Gabe guy from that Torture Test magazine. So the 3-stroke, it would fix everything. It actually sucks the emissions back in, and it makes it's net zero. What do they make it? Net zero. There's like that Volvo you can drive, and it actually has a catalyst in the radiator, and it actually cleans the air more than it pollutes it. You know, there's smart people out there. We'll figure something out. Hey, look, my shirt's climb. It says climb now. Hey, Logan, how come I got a climb shirt this time and you don't?
I've been wearing the climb one a couple.
You're pimping the dirt bike test T-shirt that hopefully somebody's gone in the store and ordered already. Yeah, everybody's really stoked on Gavin Newsom. Oh, Chris Reel is here. Oh, he's probably just been typing the whole time, correcting all the half-ass answers that I gave. But he sits in the rooms and gets to listen to some of these guys when they start proposing this far out stuff, and you know, I see his eyes roll back in his head because you can just see him go, well, that's impossible. So, okay, next question. Or did I answer that last one? No, that was a joke.
Rick Grom said, Logan, go up a few to my checklist question.
Yeah, it's a
But
good question.
Justin Smith says, another mark for Jimmy to put on his wall. Both of my kids have starting in one case on OSET because of him telling me about them at KTM Rally to Bend 2012.
So I was pitching electric bikes in 2012. I'm ahead of the curve. I up until right now, because Alta's gone, and I haven't ridden in like a current zero. Actually, someone just the other day was telling me about this other electric bike. It's more like a mountain bike kind of hybrid crossbreed kind of a thing. Stealth something. Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of different names. I think it's just something that they have the motor for, and they just keep knocking it off. Yeah. And they're really popular in Hawaii. A lot of guys trail ride them and stuff. But right now, from what I know, from what I've used and ridden, I still think the OSET is the best electric bike out there. It's and because it accomplishes the battery lasts longer than most kids' attention spans. It's easy to plug in. You can throw it in the back of the car. It can tip it over. It doesn't spill. You can park it in the house. You can ride it in the house. Doesn't bother the neighbors. It's a win-win in the dirt bike world for sure. And as it grows, as that stuff grows, hopefully we'll, I think we'll make stuff work. But I'm worried about long-range trail riding too. That's why I ride 2012 to 2015 KTM 500s and not the newer versions, because I can get a tank with a gallon more gas in it, and to me that's important. So I can get the almost 6-gallon tank where I can't get that with the newer bikes, and that makes a difference for what I do. So I can't have a new bike. No. Okay, what's the next good question?
Victor said soy-based gasoline with gluten-free, non-GMO, fossil-based oil.
Victor, you're going to get kicked off dirt bike test too. You're going to go to dirt bike test jail. You know what climb gear I wore it this week, Logan? No, because you didn't get to teach at the school.
No.
I wore the Power Cross pullover again because it was cold this weekend. And if you are riding and it's cold, that is a good piece of equipment. It's like a bomb-proof. It's like one of those lightweight pack jackets, except it's not lightweight. It's just a little bit bulky, so it doesn't get torn and ripped, but you can still crunch it up. And you can open it up and make it vent, so when it gets hot, and it has the gaiters and the sleeves, so when it's really cold, it isn't that bad. Yeah, it's the best piece. I just thought, as I looked at my shirt, I said, I got to talk about climb stuff again. Okay, next question.
Chris Reel. On the electric bike subject, never say that you will never ride one. They are making progress, not perfect for every application, but good for some applications.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the correct answer. I mean, you haven't had an OSET, have you?
No. Wanted one.
You wanted one? The kid, you remember how you saw the kid that was in the class?
Yeah.
This weekend? He had an OSET when he was younger. He started out on one of those also. And all the kids, it's funny, the kids that I've seen now that have grown up and they're on their 85s and stuff that started on the OSETs just seem to be, well, all the kids seem like they're a little better because they watch videos and they just do whatever they see. But some of those kids are actually really, really good. And you can see that they don't have the sit down and just kind of hang on to the back of the motorcycle. They're standing up on the bikes a lot more, which a lot of times when you watch kids that are kind of like coming off the auto clutch bikes and getting onto the 65s, you just watch them and they never stand up. They're just kind of plopped on it and they sort of ride. And when you start on a bike that doesn't have a seat, they do it like a strider bike in the beginning. They waddle, but if they really want to start riding it, then they're up on the foot pegs, and that's good too. So that's a whole different thing. Craig Albert says, "Thank God my underwear doesn't have slogans or logos on it." Yep, I got to get down to the Honda shirt. Any more questions? Are we running out?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There we go. Finally. CRF shirt. Sporting. We're for the team. Where's Ricky when he?
That's the question that I asked you to go back to. Listen.
Someone wanted to know how our rally training went. Our rally training went well. And we're going to do one more before we send those guys off.
Rick Grom. What is your checklist or to-do list to a brand new bike when you bring it home before you ride it? I have a 21 KTM 300 XCW TPI that I will be breaking in Christmas Day.
You have it now, or you're going to get it on Christmas? What do you think?
I think he'll be getting it.
He's getting it on Christmas. What do I do? It kind of depends. It depends on how bad I want to ride it. It's funny because it'd be doing all the magazine stuff over all the years. The new bike thing is I used to feel so bad riding them because when I was a kid and I got new bikes, I'd put like clear plastic over the graphics and stuff so they wouldn't get scratched up, and just do things to make them, put tape on certain things because I wanted them to stay clean and everything. But as I started testing a lot of bikes and started getting used to it, it was like it's going to get thrashed anyways. I don't care. So it was like about kind of how it looks. But where I was really particular is it depended on the brand and it depended on what day the bike was assembled at which factory, and it's different. You could save yourself a lot of grief if you within the first 5 hours of owning that bike, you pull out like all the bolts, like the axles, the swing arm pivots, the suspension bolts, do the headset, grease all of that stuff. I would definitely take some time within the short term. You don't have to do it right away. Nothing's gonna. I doubt that anything will go bad. And then pack the bearings with grease. Would definitely do that. And when you're putting it back together, torque everything to the manufacturer's spec. I guarantee they try to at the factory, but it depends on how fast they're coming through, whether they get it all the way there or, things like that. But especially just when you do little things like that, setting up the headset, the right torque on the headset so that it moves freely. I would definitely do that kind of thing. And other than that, it's just like kind of a bolt check. I would usually, after the first time I really rode it, check the spokes, and then for the next 3 times, probably check the spokes. And Fast Company makes a super awesome spoke wrench, by the way, if you want to do it perfectly, because that way you can do it. You can set them before, because getting torque on a spoke is, if you don't have a good feel for it, pretty difficult. I have a good feel for it, and I still like using the torque wrench because you're going to go around and you're going to make it perfect. And if you think about the way a wheel's held together, it's tension. And so having the right tension on all the spokes will go a long way in having that wheel settle in really nice. What else would I do? Check the little things like the wires and stuff. Make sure the wires aren't rubbing or getting pinched someplace. Remember, the person that is assembling that bike, the people that are assembling that bike are doing 150 or 200 of them a day. And if one slips by with one little thing, and it's really rare, but that would be it on the before I rode it, I think. I don't really. The cables these days don't need to be lubed like they used to be in the old days. What else happens to bikes? Do I Loctite certain things? Yeah, depending on certain bike. Like on KTM's, I used to Loctite anything that had to do with the chain guides and the chain buffer pads. Those always seemed to fall out, I remember. Bob, any advice?
You said it all.
Yeah, I think so. Just ride it, and then after 15 hours, send your suspension and have it serviced. That's don't get it modified unless you're getting springs. Send it in and just have it serviced, and then ride it again before you have anything done, before you start complaining. Because you can buy all kinds of stuff, but it'd be even if it's not right, or you kind of think you have a direction where you're going, play with the clickers and start going in that direction and see how much better you can make it before you have anything done. Then when you send it to your guy, if you want to have your suspension done, you know what it works like with good oil in it, and it's all set. and then you have a direction that you're going, and then that way when you're talking about it with your suspension tuner, you can say, well, stock was this. I set it like this. This is the best I could get it working. Can you get me back into, like, I always say, get it back to 0. Make it so that the bike works better than this and my clickers are in the middle of the range. And, set your sag. set your sag. That's a good thing to do. Mark Daniel says, grease anti-seize the axle adjustment bolts. Oh, that's good. Yeah, Mark, awesome. On the KTM, the chain adjuster bolts, you don't have to do that for like 2 years. You can get away with 2 years, but if you after 2 years, especially if you're in a wet climate, those bolts, if they don't have anti-seize on them, so yeah, when you're pulling that axle off, pull those bolts all the way out, put some anti-seize on them, and run them back up in there. That's a good one. There's probably like 4 or 5 other little things that we're not thinking of right now, but you don't have to do a whole lot. Loctite the kickstand spring bolt, or you will lose the spring bracket on the trails. Actually, better yet, Corey, get a Trail Tech kickstand, because those are good. We have tests on those in the magazine, and the kickstand won't break off as easy. I think that was it. Rick Grom says, thank you, Jimmy. I used to ride them till the wheels fell off. As I get older, I realize how much money I wasted not doing proper maintenance. I still ride them till the wheels fall off. I got to speaking of that, I have a KTM 400 with a California license plate on it. And it's not electric, it's gas, my friends. And it's got a carburetor for all those people that, want to keep the carb live. I threw it up on a SoCal Dual Sport Riders forum today, so if you're looking for that. 790 versus 890 Adventure R. He has a question mark. Which? And that's chasing waypoints. I don't know. I haven't ridden the 890 yet, so I can't tell you. Don't know. That's a good question. Africa Twin. I have to say that, don't I? I have to say that now. I think, actually, if you're curious about that bike, I know Chris at Rottweiler Performance just got one, and he's been weighing it, and of course he's tearing it all apart because he's going to modify everything on it. But he likely has ridden it, and probably will spill out some information on the differences. From what I know, because maybe I allegedly rode an 890 and I didn't know it, but I may have ridden it. It's basically it's a way that they can keep the power levels, maybe increase the power level a little bit while meeting the more stringent emissions and sound standards. So they're kind of going to be the same. I would expect, just since it's 890, it might have a little bit more torque, but I don't know until I ride it, and I don't know when I'm going to ride it because I haven't been told when we're going to be able to get one. So how many Hondas are in the Lewis stable? And Mark Daniels says he has 3. Okay, should we start counting? 2 CRF 450s.
Yep.
One CRF 250, which is Ned's. Well, we haven't got there yet. Let's work away. CRF 230, I got one of those. I have a new CRF 230 that's in a BBR chassis that I just repossessed, that was sitting out in someone's side of someone's house, unfortunately, and it's thrashed, but it needs to be rebuilt. There's the XR100 Baja bike.
Yeah.
There's the XR100 flat track bike. There's a Honda 50 floating around here someplace.
I think so.
Where is that thing? Yeah, George's Nemesis. I haven't seen that thing for a while. We got to figure out where that thing's at. There's an XR650. There's an XR650 in there. Any other Hondas? Oh, there's a quad. There's a Honda quad right out there.
Yeah.
10. I'm up to 10, Mark. So I got a few that I can count. We got to find that CRF 50. I don't know. Did you ever rebuild the carburetor on that thing?
No.
You never did. I gave you that a couple times. Let's see. Any other ones? George said that he learned that he needed to put radiator guards on a new bike. So I'll tell you something that's okay. That's a very valid and a good point. when you have a new bike, if you're going to put any sort of radiator protection on it, put it on it when it's new, brand new, because if all it takes is one little ginch and you'll never fit that radiator protection on it. And because it doesn't take much to get the radiators a little bit out. Mark Daniels, Jimmy, do you think the KTM 500 EXCF 5.3 gallon tank and the be retrofitted to the 2018 to 20? So he's talking about the big ones that I run. I don't think it can be. I know people have done it, but I think the frame shape is different. And if you know much about those KTMs, that gas tank is held on by one 6mm bolt. That's it. There's nothing else holding it. The seat pushes on it.
It goes down into the two rubber hubs.
Yeah, it goes onto the rubber hubs, but there's not a lot bolting that thing on there. And if you don't have all those points aren't tight with that much weight, roughly 6 gallons, 35, 36 pounds of gas floating around in there. That could be an interesting, good times. Let's see. Chasing Waypoint says, yes, I'm just waiting to get my 790, but I'm not sure there is it's obsolete now. Well, that's what KTM does. They change everything every 2 years. It's just get you. They change them just enough so you can't make your old one like the new one. It's just those things, and that's why I say don't ride a new one. If you have an older one, probably shouldn't ride a new one, because every time I ride a new one, I want a new one. What does Curly Stoker say? Kyler.
TTR 230 with carb, full carb rebuild kit, complete carb, clean of tank, inside and out, new on-off valve and screen filter inside. Bike would start and run like a dream, but if you turned it off, it would not restart unless you lose the drain screw.
I think it means loosen, but yeah.
On the float bolt. Dirty colored gas would come out of it close to drain screw, and it would fire right up.
Let's see. He did the complete clean. He cleaned everything that I can think of, but it's still bringing out. Did you new fuel lines? Because the gas these days eats fuel lines, and the fuel lines could have gone bad, and you're just picking up contaminated fuel line that's coming off and starting to run down into the carburetor and causing the problem. So I would replace the fuel lines if you hadn't done that. Yeah, it'll plug everything. Drain screw. So, and the other thing that could have happened is when you were doing that, you didn't. I don't know why it would start up the first time and not the second time, because sometimes the floats stick. I mean, how did it run? If it started and ran and you rode it around and it ran fine, and then you shut it off and it wouldn't restart, that's kind of a strange thing. But if you just started it, ran it for a little bit and stopped it, maybe you didn't use enough fuel where the floats were kind of, when the floats go up, they get stuck. A lot of times that debris will cause that float to the little needle and seat. It can get those things to stuck. They get on the side of them and they stuck shut. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways to screw up a carburetor. And I saw our buddy San Felipe Baba. I don't see in the chat room tonight. He had posted a picture today of his Yamaha WR carb all apart, and he got into the mid body. And I don't know if anybody knows about, like on the Yamaha FCRs, there's the mid body of the carb that nobody knows about, that comes apart and has gaskets inside of it and stuff that corrode over time, and they plug up these tiny little passages. So when your bike with that FCR carb starts doing funky stuff that you just can't explain, and you've cleaned everything, it's that. Like when the idle is erratic, or when your fuel screw seems like it doesn't make any difference, and all of a sudden it makes all the difference in the world. carb mid body, and just realize that even though the carbs look the same on the outside, there's about 4 or 5 different styles of mid body passages inside of there. That's probably the most useful information that anybody with an FCR carb could ever have from tonight's show. So buy my KTM 400 or I have a 525, a 400, a 525, I have a 250 for sale. Bikes for sale. I'm selling them all to buy Hondas. You know how it works around here. Just we do turncoats. And Craig Albert says, dangerous playing FCR mid body work. Yes, it is, because the little Torx bits you need to get out of there, and then usually you have to buy all 4 of the different gasket kits to figure out which one you really have, because they look almost identical. Although I was working with All Balls trying to get their descriptions and model years a little bit better, because I had some stuff that was a little bit off. So, yeah. Anything else, Logan? You have any other questions?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Did you like the show with Ricky and Andrew on it last week?
Yes.
How come you didn't upload it to the YouTubes then? It was so good. How come you didn't put it on the internets? Are you going to get this one up tomorrow? Let's talk about this right now.
I will hopefully get it up.
Okay, I will. I like that part of it. And then we went to hopefully. No. That's a bog. That's like your 125 2 gears too high. It was like, well, hopefully. That was like verse second, and then hopefully. Yeah. And now we're singling the triple jump, Logan. So we're at now. So now we're hopefully singling the triple jump, and like I don't, the lights on, there's no blinking stuff going on. We should be good. Right?
That the SD card in there was blinking, but I don't know if that does anything right now.
This thing here?
No, the red.
The red thing?
In the desktop.
You mean this red frame around here?
No.
Oh, in here? That one there?
No.
Yeah. Logan, you're the technical advisor, so if you see something going wrong, you need to say something here. So I'm just over here drinking beers and changing my clothes. I'm hardly paying attention. Hey, if you are, did I frame Andrew's wheel? No, it's still one of his spares right now. But he said he was going to leave it, so we'll see what happens. Hey, thanks a lot to George for posting up all those little links in the chat room. So if you do dare to go on Facebook and watch this live, George puts links up. There's a pretty active little chat room going on where we can answer your questions right away. That's how we get the questions here. If you're listening to this on a podcast, you can always email us at Dirt Bike Test, and we can try to get to your questions. Then, of course, we look at the last week's show on YouTube and try to answer all those questions up there. Or if there's a bike video or a test video and some questions pop up, we'll try to bring it up on this show to be a little more dynamic and how things are going. I just haven't had time to do many more videos lately. We're contemplating the future of the digital magazine, see if there's some lifeblood in it for another issue. Seems like there is, but the billing department, that's me, has to send out the invoices. That's me to get the money from the first one so we can do the second one. So we'll see how things are going, but slogan on the left and Logan on the right. Yep. Logan, what's the best bike?
Oh.
He can't even. He's so torn right now. He can't tell me. Okay. Here's what's going on. He's afraid that he won't be able to get the YouTube video up tomorrow, so he's hedging his bet. He's being careful. He don't want to say he's going to do it and then not be able to do it. And then he knows what he likes. He knows which bike he likes, but he's afraid to say it because he thinks I might bark at him or something. What's the best bike?
I haven't rid a anything. Oh, I haven't rid a
Waffle.
Honda over 250. And I haven't ridden a Husaberg, so I'm going to go with KTM 500.
KTM 500. You haven't ridden any of the Honda 450s that we have in rental bikes in the class? Not even to warm them up and down the street?
the Honda 450 for a trail ride with Faye and Johnny.
Okay. You rode one of the Honda 450s that day?
Yes.
Oh, because we wanted to be all red that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all want to look like Honda people. See, I can switch. Just doesn't take long. Just go in the garage and get one. The only one that'd be hard for me to ride right now would be Kawasaki. Randy Fish, Olaf from Guerrero Negro. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I bet you the weather's nice down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if he's a resident down there. Let's see. Trick Questions Sponsorships. Anyways, hey, by the way, hey, I really do appreciate Honda coming on board. I mean, I'm in all honesty, it's like they did make a conscious decision this year to support some what we'll call endemic media. They've been spending all this money with Googles and the Facebooks and stuff like that, and somebody down there realized it's like, hey, we need guys that really know what they're talking about, that really test our products, that can deliver the message, and they know me. They've known me for a long time. And they decided they'd like to support this show. They like what we're doing here. And so it's not going to change the way we feel about bikes or how we test bikes or anything like that. And in fact, before I even knew this was coming about, you can listen to the podcast on our CRF 450R, the one I'm going to do the read on in a minute. You can listen to the podcast about that bike. And I mean, I was really happy with that bike, and I talk about how much I liked it in that test. It was like I was really happy with it. And it's kind of funny because I complained a little bit about the blurble that everybody complained about, but I was way more stoked on the suspension, the chassis, and the handling. And it's funny because it sort of took a left turn when all these media guys got it and like, suspension's too soft, and it's this and it's that. And it's like, no, I think for the regular guy, I think they kind of nailed it. And that's why I really want to ride the RX. Won't know until I ride it. But if that direction, because I'm a little more off-road guy now, but if that direction took its place, I think that could be a really, really good bike. And then poor Big John, who has his CRF 450X, we all bummed out because I got him to buy that X last time. So anyways, anything, that's it. We're closing it up the show. You got another question?
Todd Kelly, when does the Christini come out?
When does the Christini come out? Oh, I think he's talking about the all-wheel drive adventure bike. Probably not very soon. I still need to go and work on that Christini. We have the 450 to get that thing tuned up right. But the all-wheel drive adventure bike, I think they're slammed making all-wheel drive mountain bikes, fat-tired all-wheel drive mountain bikes. They're bicycles, you can't even get them. And that's such a unique thing. They were busy with them anyways, and that's sort of taken over for right now. So wouldn't expect anything motorized out of them for any time soon, I don't think. Okay. Honda's new 2021 CRF 450R is designed to take you straight from the starting gate to the victory circle. This awesome open-class motocrosser features an all-new chassis, a major engine overhaul, new suspension, and new bodywork. And if you forget about the clutch fade, adjustment, or hand fatigue with the new hydraulic clutch system, should have said, and you can forget about clutch fade, adjustment, or hand fatigue with the new hydraulic clutch system. Lighter than ever, the CRF 450R explodes out of corners when it's time to increase your lead. So get on down to your local Honda dealer and check out the 2021 CRF 450R. Go to mx.honda.com to see the full line of competition bikes. And remember, the CRF 450R is intended for closed course competition only. Okay. So with that, everybody, we are going to close down the show unless Logan has any other bits of news for us.
Does the first gen Christini count as a Honda?
all of the Christinis are, well, no, there was the whole run of KTMs, but any of the Christini 4-strokes were based off of Hondas. Like even the current Christini is based off of the 2008-ish CRF 450X. So yeah, they're kind of like knockoffs, but they were so different. But it's you can pretty much replace almost any part on it with a Honda part. So a lot of crossover there. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining in. And I don't know if we're going to do a show next week. I might be out doing that second batch of rally training. Maybe we'll try to pre-record a show with some of those clowns and get them to talk again, and we'll go from there. Anyways, thanks for everybody for sponsoring the show. Thanks for watching, and what are we going to do?
See you out on the trails.
Cheers.